Good afternoon and welcome to News 6 Extra. I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. We have a lot to get to today, but first it is a weather alert day. We want to get over to Chief Meteorologist Candace Campos, who has the latest.
Hi, Lisa.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? You know, today is certainly going to be kind of that weather alert day kind of feel because we are watching a tropical low. And, well, it's not technically tropical just yet. It's an area of low pressure that right now is over the East Coast, and then it's going to cross over the states as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday, and that is when we're going to be watching it for possible tropical development by the end of the week. There's a lot to get to, so let's take it to the maps and show you what's going on. This is kind of like a kind of coming up forecast, okay? So today and tomorrow, we're talking about tropical moisture possibly kind of feeding in. The biggest concern for us really at the end of the day is going to be that concern for flooding because we are going to be seeing a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. Now, later on, by the latter part of the week, we will get back to near normal. Typical storms will be setting back up come Thursday and Friday. We've got a lot of weather before we get there. So this is kind of the big story. We have this area of low pressure, and that's going to continue to stream in more tropical moisture from parts of the Bahamas. And as that crosses over, that's going to be surging in a lot of rain and instability. That is why today, for instance, rain chances remain elevated, but you can see it differs from where you are versus east versus west coast. Rain chance a little lower along our coastline. I do think that we're going to be tapping into a little bit of dry air right along the coast. And then our inland zones will have that opportunity, though, to pick up some significant rainfall with our coverage up to about an 80%. So let's show you here our latest in-house computer models. And Lisa, that shows you where the bulk of those heavier downpours look to be as we continue to move into the area. And I wonder if so my shot is frozen. So do I toss back to you, Lisa? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep going then.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. And then we're going to continue to kind of roll in more tropical moisture throughout the next couple of hours. Now, I do want to turn your attention, though, to tomorrow morning because, again, that low is still out over the Atlantic. But as it moves over, I do think we might have an earlier start to some of that rain. That might catch some people off guard if you're dropping the kids off at summer camp or you're trying to get stuff done earlier in the day because we're so used to afternoon rain. I think the storms will start rolling in a little earlier on Tuesday, so I don't want people getting caught off guard with that. And then those scattered showers, again, will continue to kind of move through the area throughout the afternoon. So, again, that low, it's going to take its sweet time crossing the state, but as it does so, notice it's going to keep pushing to our west. After this point, come Wednesday, this low is not going to be our problem here in Central Florida. It is going to be something that parts of Alabama, Louisiana, possibly Texas will have to watch and see for some possible tropical development. So the latest update from the National Hurricane Center is that this area, not tropical yet, once it reemerges and moves into the Gulf, that's where we will have plenty of opportunity to see something develop. So with that being said, 10% chance that it could develop in the next 2 days, 30% chance in the next 7. We'll have to wait and see if they're going to designate this an invest. Once they do, that's when we will be able to get hurricane hunters in there and they'll investigate it and we'll get computer models and everything else kind of fall in place. But again, that is by Wednesday, Thursday. We still got to get through some soggy conditions Monday and Tuesday. And if we rack up rain each and every afternoon, we could pick up between like 1 to 3 inches along our coast, about 2 to 3 up and down I-4. But there could be a couple pockets where we could see up to about 3 to 5 inches when this is all said and done. That is why the Storm Prediction Center has kept the majority of Central Florida under that kind of yellow color there. That is the slight risk that we could potentially have 1 to 2 inches of rainfall just today, and then we'll continue to add on to it. Now, the heat index, this is something we don't talk about much when we think tropical systems. We think it's rainy, it's cloud, it's going to be cooler. Well, that tropical air holds onto a lot of heat. It's going to make things feel even hotter. So right now it feels, look at the villages, Lisa. It feels like 111 degrees at this point in time. Feels like 97 in Cape Canaveral. And we're going to continue to feel that heat over the next couple of days, especially because that tropical air will linger. So as we get results here, next 7 days, you can see a decent shot for rain today and tomorrow. Again, a little earlier start to the rain tomorrow. And then we'll slowly get back to near normal as we head into the weekend. So just kind of staying weather aware, making sure you're having your News 6 weather app ready, so if you're out and about, you can get notified if rain or the lightning will be impacting you or your family.
So much happening over the next several days, Candace. So we appreciate you walking us through all of that. And yeah, it's just not right? If we have rain, we should have those cooler temperatures. It doesn't seem fair.
It doesn't seem fair, right? It needs to be one or the other.
That's right. All right, Candace, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, there is a lot happening in court this morning. Attorneys for the man accused of raping and killing 13-year-old Madeline Soto were back in court this morning. Lawyers for Stefan Sterns made several motions before his first scheduled trial is set to begin just days from now. News 6's Mark Lehman was inside the courtroom and has the latest on what the judge ruled.
Both the state and the defense going through some housekeeping items for the first trial for Stefan Sterns. The judge deciding what will and won't be allowed here at the courthouse as that gets underway next week. Stefan Sterns was back in court today as the judge heard 3 motions on his upcoming sexual abuse trial. The defense first asking to remove newspapers from the courthouse lobby, which they say could potentially taint the jury pool.
The newspapers constantly indicate that there's both a sex case that is currently pending, which is what we're here for this morning, as well as a capital murder case.
That motion was granted along with a reminder for media to follow the rules of the courtroom. Stearns is accused of raping and killing 13-year-old Madeline Soto. For this trial, his lawyers asked to allow him to appear without restraints. The judge deciding a leg brace will be worn that won't be visible but restricts movement.
Basically what happens is when the person sits, it bends, but when they stand up, it just locks and it prevents the person to run away. They would have to essentially hop away because that leg is stiff.
Stearns is facing a separate murder trial in September. In this case, the state will be going through pictures and video found on his cell phone that they say link him to 60 counts of sexual battery and abuse. With sensitive material, prosecutors say they're taking extra measures.
Actual videos and photos and things, the state intends to utilize the whiteboard in an effort to prevent other individuals that do not need to see that evidence.
So at this point, things appear to be moving forward for the sexual abuse trial for Stefan Sterns. Jury selection begins on July 22nd. For now, reporting in Osceola County, Mark Lehman, News 6.
Mark, thank you. Plans to build a permanent memorial for the Pulse nightclub victims are about to take another big step forward. Orlando City Commissioners are set to take 2 big votes when it comes to the project, including the formal selection of the construction company that will hopefully make it all happen. News 6's Angie Casada explains what we can expect to happen in just a couple of hours.
I'm Angie Casada in Orange County, here at Pulse nightclub, where the memorial has been in the making for years. And today, city leaders could be approving 2 critical pieces to the puzzle. One of them, buying the property that's right next door and selecting the company that will build the lasting tribute to the victims. After nearly a decade of delays, the city of Orlando is taking 2 major steps toward a permanent Pulse memorial. The city council is expected to sign off on a $1 million purchase of the 2 properties next to the Pulse site. Right now, one is a closed radiology office, the other a car stereo and window tinting shop. Commissioners are also set to formally pick Gomez Construction as the firm that will design and build the memorial. Mayor Buddy Dyer sending News 6 the statement, saying Gomez will take the concept developed by the advisory committee, transform it into a detailed design, and construct the memorial by the end of 2027. It's something many have waited years to hear.
It's still something that is so fresh and real to so many people here in Orlando, and we've lost, 49 precious lives that I don't think that feeling ever changes for anyone. As a location and a business that is a safe space.
I hope that it brings a lot more of the community together and empowers a lot more of the LGBT to feel safer, I should say, and more accepted in Orlando.
City leaders say these steps mark a turning point after Orlando stepped in and bought the property in 2023 with the goal of honoring the 49 angels, survivors, and the entire community. Reporting in Orlando, Angie Casada, News 6.
Angie, thank you. Coming up after the break, if your daily drive involves International Drive, you may have heard some rumors about an underground tunnel that could be a game changer. We're going to have the latest on that, as well as changes to those crash test dummies that we have all seen in those crash tests, and some potential limits on garage sales in one part of Central Florida. We're going to have all of that for you right after this quick break. Welcome back to News 6 Extra. I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. And did you know that women are more likely to be injured or die in a car crash? That is according to highway safety experts. But those so-called crash test dummies are decades old and are designed mostly around the male body. So as Chris Van Cleve reports, there's now a new push to get that changed.
College freshman Amanda Kish was driving home for the weekend from Central Michigan University in October 2022. She was rear-ended, sending her car out of control. The crash killed the 18-year-old.
My daughter should be here. I sent her to college, and she never came home.
Her mother, Frances.
She was 5 foot and 94 pounds, so I believe that if she might not have been sitting so close to the steering wheel, she might still be here.
Women make up more than half of U.S. drivers, but are 73% more likely to suffer serious injuries in a crash than men. They are 17% more likely to be killed. A gender gap with deadly consequences, Republican Senator Deb Fischer and Democrat Tammy Duckworth agree needs to close.
Whether driving or as passengers, we want to make sure that women are safe when they get in a vehicle.
We're taking the next step, and let's see if we can't remedy the situation.
And make it safer.
Yes.
Make it safer.
So that all those moms and daughters and sisters and best friends come home.
A bipartisan group of 4 women senators are sponsoring the She Drives Act to update federal crashworthiness tests by requiring the use of advanced test dummies that better reflect the driving public, including one simulating a 4'11", 108-pound woman.
Women hitting the dashboard at a different spot than men. Are we hitting a particular item in a car more often, and that's causing more injury? And that's where these crash test dummies that are, the size of the average woman will help us gather that data.
The current test dummies were developed in the 1990s and represent a 5'9" man weighing 171 pounds. The new Thor test dummy has been available since 2020 and is widely used internationally. Its manufacturer says it includes more than double the data gathering capability of older models.
So the rest of the world is using a smarter dummy than the U.S.?
Correct.
Humanetics CEO Chris O'Connor.
If this law passes, does that make vehicles safer in the long run?
Absolutely, it makes it safer, because right now we can't even detect these injuries in a crash test dummy because the sensors aren't there. And so you can't design a safer vehicle without knowing.
But some safety advocates, including the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, argue resources would be better focused on developing virtual tools to help researchers better understand the unique risks faced by different kinds of vehicle occupants.
Her voice, I miss her voice so much.
Frances Kish just hopes this new focus on women's auto safety will mean another mother won't feel her heartbreak. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Wyandotte, Michigan.
It's an important issue affecting half our population. Well, if you are looking to clean out your house and make a couple of dollars along the way, your first thought might be to have a good old-fashioned garage sale. But one Central Florida city is looking to crack down on those events after complaints that they are just happening way too often. News 6's Tavares community correspondent Emily McLeod explains how the proposed ordinance would work by limiting how many garage sales a person could host every year.
The city of Tavares is looking to limit the number of yard sales or garage sales people can host in a year. I'm your Tavares community correspondent. We spoke to city officials and they say they're not trying to make people's lives harder, but they're trying to address some concerns they say the council has received.
We found Samantha Neal's garage sale on Facebook Saturday morning and decided to pop by to ask her her thoughts on the city's proposed garage sale ordinance. While nothing is set in stone just yet, the current proposal would limit the number of garage sales someone can host to once every 3 months and would require a permit that's filled out online for free.
If we want to get rid of our stuff, we should be able to. I don't think the city should try and control something like that.
The city says they're trying to address complaints over people hosting garage sales weekly or in some cases daily.
Do you see an issue with that? Maybe having them every single day or every couple of days?
So with that, like if somebody's doing it like, back and forth, like out of their house, I could see maybe wanting a permit for something like that because it's more of like a small business as opposed to a garage sale.
Tyrone Neal was also hosting a yard sale on Saturday.
Mine's only $1.
Neal hosts yard sales frequently and is against the proposed ordinance.
I've met great friends, I've networked, I've gotten jobs just from having a yard sale and meeting someone. The price of food and everything went up. Everybody needs passive money. So I don't see how having a yard sale once a week is affecting anyone.
Tavares police tell us the permitting process would help code enforcement keep track of the garage sales.
With that, he can track how many garage sales someone is having in that 12-month period, and he can also track if someone isn't getting a permit, and then he can cite them from there with fines.
City officials say recurring garage sales can go from community events to something that causes disturbances, whether it's more noise or traffic. I'm your Tavares community correspondent, Emily McLeod, News 6.
If your daily drive involves driving along International Drive, you may have heard of this rumor, some say. Traffic, as you know, can be a nightmare in many parts of Central Florida, especially that area. And some people, have to leave hours ahead of time just to make sure they get to work on time. But what if there was an underground tunnel to avoid a lot of that traffic? Orange County community correspondent Jarrell Baker breaks down a rumored project that could benefit both tourists and locals.
Mac Evans lives around 30 minutes away from his job at a local resort. But since he takes International Drive to get there, he has to leave much earlier.
I usually plan about an hour to be on the road from leaving home versus getting there to clock in.
And he's not alone.
I live, close to the Claremont area. It takes me about, 45 minutes on a good day to get to work.
But could creating this underground transportation tunnel make it easier to get around on IDrive? Rumor has that the Universal Orlando Resort and other companies might be partnering with Elon Musk's Boring Company to make this happen.
It would be a great thing for investments, a great thing for getting around. But just from Universal to Epic, it would be game-changing.
The project, also called The Loop, is similar to the tunnel set up in Las Vegas. Now, reports say that the system could link Epic Universe, Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, the Convention Center, and possibly the airport.
I would love for the traffic situation to be alleviated for both the people who rely on those places for the income, but also the people who come from all over the world to experience these parks.
Critics of the idea are concerned about digging into Florida soil and how storms could impact the tunnel.
The possibility for flooding is always there. The only concerns I have would definitely be with hurricane season, but I don't think that would be a limiting factor.
We reached out to Maria Triscara from the IDrive Chamber of Commerce, who says that she's heard early-stage conversations, but nothing set in stone. In a statement, she went on to say that at this point, nothing has been confirmed, but it's exciting to see concepts emerging that reflect a broader vision for the advanced and sustainable transportation. In Orlando, Jarrell Baker, News 6.
That could definitely be a game changer for sure. Thank you so much for spending some time with us for News 6 Extra. I'm News 6 anchor Lisa Bell. You can always get the latest updates anytime at clickorlando.com, and be sure to join us for our next newscast this afternoon at 4 p.m. We'll see you then.